Charlie Kirk says he keeps the Sabbath, but does that make him a representative of the Seventh Day Adventist Church? The answer isn't as simple as some people want you to think. Before I dive in, I want to be clear. I am not setting myself up as a pillar for anyone to follow. I'm still learning and growing every day in Christ, in my personal beliefs, and in how I try to live my life. But what I am seeing right now worries me. Ministries like Amazing Facts and others using one sentence Charlie Kirk has ever said about the Sabbath and attaching it to core Seventh-day Adventist values as a way to spread the gospel, even though that platform can also appeal to those with racist and violent ideologies. That's why I want to talk about this whole conversation around Charlie Kirk and the Sabbath and how we as SDAs should handle it. First, let's start with what Sabbath actually means in Seventh-day Adventist belief. The Sabbath begins at Friday at sundown and goes until Saturday at sundown. It's not just about resting. It's about sacred time for worship, reflection, fellowship, and doing good. It's a weekly reminder that God created us, redeemed us, and calls us to live in harmony with Him and with others. Sabbath is part of a bigger picture, a lifestyle of love, justice, peace, and respect for human dignity. It's more than just a day off. It's an invitation to live differently the whole week. So where does Charlie Kirk fit in? Watch this video.
Believe that the Shabbat or the Sabbath is the mystery, the secret that so many Christians overlook. I'll tell you my own life. I turn off my phone on Friday night. It goes back on Sunday. When I fly back, it is all family, all Saturday. For 6 days you shall work. On the seventh day you shall rest.
Now, even though that does line up with the timing Adventists keep, at least on paper, but we don't know that he practices the Sabbath in the full sense that the Bible describes, or that he holds the same theology that SDAs believe. And we have to remember, just because someone mentions keeping Sabbath doesn't automatically make them a representative of the SDA church. This is really important. Doing one spiritual practice doesn't make that person a model for the entire faith. There have been plenty of people throughout history who claimed Christianity, but whose lives were violent, racist, and cruel. We don't lift them up as examples just because he quoted a Bible verse or practiced one commandment. Amazing Facts is a ministry that shares a lot of Adventist teachings, but it isn't the same as the SDA church. Doug Batchelor runs Amazing Facts, and sometimes they take an approach that I don't particularly agree with, like spotlighting Charlie Kirk's words as if they're proof of our beliefs. That's dangerous because it can tie the church's message to peoples whose actions don't reflect the character of Jesus. The heart of the issue is the character. Jesus said, "You know a tree by its fruit. Some trees bear good fruit and some trees bear bad fruit." Adventists believe in human dignity, equality, and non-violence. Charlie Kirk has made statements and taken positions that many see as racist, divisive, and encouraging hostility. That is not in harmony with Christ's teachings or the SDA's commitment to love and justice. Sabbath keeping isn't just about putting your phone away or avoiding work. It's about living out compassion, humility, and integrity every day. Another concern is how easily political figures can hijack religious symbols or practices. And we let influencers define our beliefs. Sabbath stops being a sign of God's grace and has become a trend or a badge in the culture war. Our focus should be on living Christ-like values, truth, mercy, justice, and not chasing after people who look spiritual in one area, but end up stirring up division in another. So here's my challenge. Look beyond labels. Pay attention to the whole fruit, their character, their speech, how they treat others. History gives us sobering examples. Hitler, King Leopold, slave owners, and a great many others have claimed to be Christian, but their actions destroyed lives and shaped history in devastating ways. Claiming faith is not enough. For me, Sabbath is meant to be a sign of freedom, love, and creation. It should never be used to give credibility to someone whose life undermines those values. So I'll finish where I started. I'm still learning. I'm still growing in Christ, still figuring out how to live out faith in everyday life. But that doesn't excuse this ministry, or any of us, from taking a single sentence a public figure said and welding it into the gospel, especially when it pulls people in with racist or violent ideas. Let's honor the Sabbath by guarding its meaning, and let's represent Jesus with integrity by lifting love, justice, and mercy, not chasing after celebrities to validate our faith. And another thing I just want to point out for all of my white Christian friends, because I have a lot, if you can see what's happening with Charlie Kirk and still think that he is an okay message to be spreading, I really, really need you to stop and think. I need you to use your own discernment. Look at who Charlie Kirk was as a human being, as a person, the messages that he shared, his values that he tried to impose on us, and then I want you to reflect upon your own self. If you can look at everything that this man said and still agree that you are living a Christ-like, Christ-centered life, then you really need to reevaluate your relationship with Jesus. Jesus was not a racist. He was not a hate-filled person. He used love, compassion, and helping our neighbors as signs and values that we should hold dearly. And tell me in the comments how you think that we can keep the Sabbath holy while also protecting the integrity of our message. May our minds be free and our hearts open to allow others in.